All right, welcome to the deep dive. This is really built just for you, someone who wants to get smarter with this stuff faster without getting totally swamped.
Yeah, exactly. We're like cutting through the noise.
We are, and today we're diving deep into n8n automation workflows. But we're going way past the usual stuff. We're talking about finding those, like, hidden tricks, the ones most people don't even know are there.
Right. The kind of things that can genuinely level up how you build automations, make a real difference.
Oh, for sure. And we're using this great article as our guide. It's called 28 n8n Tricks for Automation Workflow Mastery, Part 1. And yeah, it's pretty dense.
It promises those aha moments.
Yeah.
I think it delivers.
It really does. So our goal today, pull out the absolute best, most actionable stuff from this first part. We want to help you go from just, using n8n to, well, the article calls it an automation wizard, which sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. Does sound cool. But practically speaking, it's about boosting your productivity. The article even mentions maybe being like 10 times more productive.
Which would be amazing. And also building stuff that's, more solid, more resilient, less likely to just fall over.
Or robust, yeah, exactly. Handling things better.
So this part 1 covers 28 tricks. Kind of breaks down into keyboard shortcuts, which sound basic, but trust me, they aren't. Then data handling, organizing your workflows, and some more advanced data stuff, too.
It's a really solid foundation they lay out.
Okay, let's jump in then. First section, becoming a keyboard ninja.
Ah, yes, getting away from the mouse. It seems small, but honestly, the speed difference is huge.
The source basically says your mouse is a bottleneck, like full stop.
Totally. And just keeping your hands on the keyboard. It helps you stay in the zone, Less context switching.
Right. So the first few are maybe things you know, but they're essential. Plus and minus for Zoom, you need that control.
Yeah. Basic, but you use it all the time to either focus in or see the big picture.
But here's where navigation gets really neat, the instant view adjustments. Like pressing 1, boom, your whole workflow fits on the screen instantly.
Oh, that is so handy. Like just for getting your bearings or finding that one node you lost track of.
I use 1 constantly, and 0 is your centers, whatever you've got selected. Perfectly. No more fiddly dragging.
Yeah, saves a lot of frustration, especially on complex canvases. A real sanity saver.
And then node hopping. Select a node, then just use the arrow keys. Zip between connected nodes super fast.
Way, way quicker than clicking, especially when things are kind of clustered together. And if you hit the rest, enter on a selected node.
Instantly opens the parameters panel. Love that one.
Yep. Quick editing access.
And, the classic QTILACMD plus A, select everything for moving big chunks or copying.
Standard shortcut. But yeah, essential and n8n for managing those larger workflows.
Okay, now for the real speed stuff. The instant node menu, the tab trick. Man, this might be my favorite simple one. Forget clicking the big plus sign. Just hit tab anywhere.
Yeah. And that node search menu just pops right up, cursor blinking, ready to go. Start typing, hit enter, bam, node added. It shaves off these tiny moments that just add up like crazy.
It's one of those things that feels minor until you start doing it, that it feels massive. And the next one builds on it. Smart connections, select node, then hit tab, type your next node, hit enter.
And it automatically connects it. It just chains them together. That right there is like the core of building workflows super fast.
It feels really intuitive, like you're just thinking the workflow into existence. And for running it, CTRL-CMD plus enter, quick workflow execution.
Yep, faster than clicking the button. Keeps the hands on the keyboard.
Speaking of hands on the keyboard, CTRL-CMD plus S save all the time. Like it's muscle memory.
Yes, the source really emphasizes this. n8n does autosave, but hitting save manually creates more fine-grained recovery points in the history.
Yeah.
Super important if, your browser decides to crash.
Okay.
Or you just make a mistake, which happens.
Oh, yeah. Been there. That history feature is a lifesaver.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on to pro selection. Directional node selection. Use Shift plus arrow keys. Select a node, Shift plus right arrow.
And it grabs that node plus everything downstream connected to it in that specific path. Shift plus left goes upstream.
It's way more precise than just dragging a selection box, especially when your workflow gets tangled.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, another quick one. Instant sticky notes. Shift plus S, then click.
Damn. Little note right where you need it. Super fast.
Yeah, just for jotting down a quick thought or reminder. We'll come back to making those notes even better later.
Ooh, foreshadowing. Nice. And the last keyboard one here, activate nodes, the D key. Select a node, hit D.
And it just grays out. Gets skipped when the workflow runs. This is so useful for testing, right?
Totally. Test just one part. or disable something temporarily. Or maybe turn off a branch that's giving you trouble while you figure it out.
Just toggle it on and off super quick.
So why fuss over all these keyboard tricks? The source makes a pretty strong argument.
It's that cumulative time saving, right? On a workflow with like 20, 30, maybe 50 nodes, the article suggests it could turn, say, 3 hours of clicking into maybe just 30 focused minutes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And it keeps you in that flow state. You're not constantly breaking your concentration, switching back and forth.
It's like learning to touch type versus hunting and pecking for your automation building.
That's a perfect analogy, actually.
So we've sped up the how, but what about the what? The data itself.
Exactly. Let's shift gears. Time for some data manipulation magic. Tricks to understand and shape that data flow effectively.
Taming the data before it tames you, as the source puts it. I like
Yeah,
that.
too. First up, the Schema Preview superpower. This is seeing the expected data structure before you run anything.
Yeah. For nodes that talk to known services, think Airtable, OpenAI, Notion, whatever NA may, can often show you this kind of grayed out phantom preview in the output panel. It's what it thinks the data will look like.
And the really cool part, you can actually drag fields from that phantom preview directly into your expression editors downstream.
This is massive. You can start building your logic, mapping things out before you even make the first real API call. It saves time, prevents typos because you're dragging, not typing field names.
And saves API credits. Because you're not running it over and over just to see the structure. No more guesswork.
It's like having the data blueprint before the data even arrives. So good. Okay, next. Pin and edit strategy. Stop wasting those API calls during testing.
This is critical, especially with paid services like LLMs. Run the node that gets the data once.
Get your output. Then hit P or click the little pin icon.
And that locks in that exact data for that node. It won't run again when you test the workflow. It just uses the pin data.
But the real power, like the article says, is you can click into that pin data and edit the JSON directly.
Yes. Simulate anything. What if a field is missing? What if a value is different? What if you get an error message? Just type it into the pin JSON.
And then you can test all your downstream logic, your IF nodes, your error handling with controlled static data. Without making another real API call, it's huge for saving time and money.
And it works for trigger nodes, too. You can run a trigger manually, pin the output, and then even paste in totally different JSON to simulate various incoming webhooks or events.
Total simulation power.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is such an underrated feature for building robust workflows.
For sure. Okay, one more quick one in this data section. The instant expression mode shortcut. Just typing.
Oh man, this saves so many clicks. Seriously.
Right. Instead of click the field, click add expression, then type. Just type as the very first character in any field that takes expressions.
And boom, you're instantly in expression mode, ready for your stuff.
Yeah, you can just type hello JSON.name straight away. Keeps you on the keyboard. Saves countless tiny clicks.
So these data tricks, the schema preview, pin and edit, the shortcut, they really give you like way more flexibility and confidence when you're building.
Totally. You're working with data in a much more controlled, predictable, and cost-effective way. Builds better workflows.
Okay, so we're building faster, we're handling data smarter. What's next?
Keeping it all organized. Avoiding that, spaghetti monster on the canvas. Workflow organization is key.
Oh gosh, yes. Trying to debug a messy workflow or hand it off. It's a nightmare. Good organization makes them maintainable, scalable, professional, really.
First trick here builds on something earlier. Smart sticky notes. Remember Shift+S to create one. Well, the power-up is Markdown.
Yes. You can use full Markdown formatting inside sticky notes. Headings, bold, italics, bullet points, numbered lists, even links.
It turns them from simple reminders into actual little documentation blocks right on the canvas. You can structure explanations.
And the source even mentions embedding images. If you host an image somewhere with a direct link, you can use the .alt-rel Markdown to show it right there.
Kind of cool for diagrams or quick visual references.
Definitely. Next up, purposeful color coding. Apply colors to nodes and sticky notes.
Makes the whole workflow instantly easier to scan and understand, but
consistency is key. You need a system. The article suggests one, like white for standard stuff, red for critical actions, yellow for important nodes, green for success points, blue for maybe AI or communication nodes, purple for utilities.
But whatever system you choose, document it. Put a sticky note right there explaining your color code. Make it functional, not just pretty.
Absolutely. And then node naming. Seriously, stop leaving nodes as set node 3 or HTTP request 2.
Please, this sounds so basic, but in a complex flow, it's impossible to know what's going on otherwise. Set node 3 means nothing. Get new leads from Facebook ads tells you exactly what it does.
Action plus object is a good formula. What does it do and what's it doing it to? Your future self will thank you. Anyone else looking at it will thank you.
And there's a shortcut, F2, or function plus F2. Rename the node right on the canvas. No need to open the panel, just make it a habit.
Rename it as soon as you know its purpose.
Yes. Okay, next, workflow history, the built-in n8 time machine.
That little clock icon, top right.
Saved my bacon more than once. You know, you make some improvements and suddenly everything's broken.
Happens to the best of us. History shows you a list of saved versions, timestamps and all. You can restore an old version.
Or, and this is great, you can clone an old version as a new workflow. Perfect for trying stuff out without risking your working version, like branching.
Yeah, great for experiments. You can also download the JSON for backup or if you want to compare versions.
The source has this funny bit about how this feature saves developers from their own late-night brilliant ideas.
Hey, yeah, sounds about right. Relatable.
And remember, CTRL-CMD plus S saves frequently create more recovery points in that history.
Good reminder. Okay, last one for organization. Environment variables using unv.
This is about putting configuration stuff like API URLs, maybe dev versus prod settings, non-secret tokens outside your workflow in a central manageable place.
It's a huge step up for maintainability. No more hard coding that stuff directly in your nodes. Makes workflows cleaner and easier to move between different environments.
Right. You set these variables outside on n8n, maybe in Docker or the .env file or your cloud platform settings, and then you access them in expressions using your variable name, like n8n.apm point plus users.
Or sometimes is variable to weirdchars. It just separates your configuration from your actual automation logic. Much cleaner.
So yeah, organization isn't just tidying up, it's building professional, scalable blueprints.
It really is the foundation for anything complex or long-lasting.
Okay, that brings us to the final section for this Part 1 deep dive. Advanced Data Wizardry. Handling the really tricky stuff.
Yeah, complex structures, time-sensitive data, making sure things don't break, handling lots of items.
First up, JMESPath. The article calls it like SQL, but for JSON.
Basically, yeah. If you're wrestling with super nested JSON, writing those crazy long game, json.data.item.user.profile.contact things, JMESPath might be your new best friend.
It's a query language just for JSON, much cleaner syntax.
Yeah.
And n8n supports it directly with JMESPath object expression.
The source gives great examples, like grabbing all emails from a nested list, leads.interactions.type, email.email, or filtering and reshaping data, customers.age 26, fullname.name, email address.email.
Wow, okay. That looks way simpler than trying to code that or use multiple set nodes. They recommend checking out JMESPath.org to learn it.
Definitely worth it if you deal with complex JSON a lot. Okay, next, the date time context trick using no dollar.
Giving your workflows awareness of time, the now object is just there in expressions, ready to use. It's a Luxon date time object, which is powerful.
So you can easily get the current timestamp, format dates, get the day of the week, even do math like adding 7 days.
But here's a critical tip from the source. Check your n8n instance's time zone setting.
Yes. In setting general mass time zone. If that's wrong, now might be UTC or your server's default, which can totally screw up scheduling or any logic based on local time.
Good catch. Okay, quick one. Array string transformation. Using join and split.
Simple but essential. Join separator turns an array like AB into a string like AB.
Then split separator does the reverse, turns AB back into AB.
Using .join or join n is super handy for formatting lists nicely, maybe for feeding into an AI prompt or just creating readable text output.
Very useful. Next, JSON error prevention. This is about cleaning up user input before you stick it inside other JSON.
Yeah, people type weird stuff, right? Quotes, new lines, backslashes. If you just blindly put JSON.user input and the input has a quote, your whole JSON breaks.
The fix is using .replace with regular expressions to escape those special characters, like replacing hen.
And you might need to chain them. The source suggests maybe escaping backslashes first, then quotes, then replacing literal new lines with the end character sequence. You got to be careful before embedding raw input into JSON strings.
Yeah, the example was like input from a webhook. You absolutely have to sanitize that before putting it in, say, an HTTP request body that needs to be valid JSON.
Prevents a lot of weird, hard to debug errors. Okay, next, binary data handling. Working with files, PDFs, images, etc., the stuff under the binary property.
Right. And the problem is nodes like set might accidentally drop that binary data if you're not careful how you connect things.
Yeah, the next node might get the file name, JSON part, but the actual file content, binary part, disappears.
Solution 1, the recommended one, use the merge node.
Exactly. You feed the node with the binary data, like from a download node, into one input of the merge node and maybe a set node with metadata into the other input. The merge node intelligently combines them, making sure both JSON and binary properties survive in the output item.
Solution 2 is the code node, but the source says it's more advanced and can be tricky. You have to manually return an object containing both properties.
Merge is usually the way to go. The main idea is just be aware that intermediate nodes might drop the binary data unless you explicitly preserve it, usually with merge.
Gotcha. Okay, trick 27, marked as new. Item.index. This pops up inside nodes that loop through lists.
Right. It just gives you the number, the zero-based index of the item currently being processed in the loop.
Which gives you really useful context inside that loop.
Yeah. Think about naming files sequentially. Invoice, item index +1.pdf. Or maybe doing something different for the first 5 items. I have index 5. Or alternating actions based on even-odd index. Super handy.
Oh, I can definitely see uses for that. And the final trick for part 1, number 28, also new. The traffic controller split in batches node. This is all about dealing with API rate limits.
Yeah. The classic problem. You have 500 things to send to an API, but it only allows, say, 10 requests per second. Connect an HTTP request directly, and boom, errors everywhere.
So the solution, take your list of 500 items, feed it into the split in batches node first.
Tell it to break the list into smaller chunks, maybe batches of 10 in this case.
Then process each batch, like with your HTTP request node, and crucially, after processing the batch, add a wait node.
Exactly. Wait for maybe a second or two. This throttles your requests, keeps you under the API limit, prevents errors, makes you a good API citizen, and it even helps n8n manage memory better with large lists.
That seems absolutely essential for any kind of bulk processing against external services.
Totally. It makes those kinds of workflows actually reliable.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. That's the 28 tricks from part 1 of the article.
Yeah, we covered the keyboard speed stuff, the data handling magic, keeping things organized, and then some pretty powerful advanced data techniques.
And they really are foundational, aren't they? Like, even just picking up a few of these could genuinely save hours and prevent a ton of headaches.
They let you build much more capable, scalable automations. And yeah, the article hints there's more in part 2.
Right. They mention things like HTTP security deep dives, error handling patterns, advanced workflow designs, even a mastery plan. But yeah, that's for another time.
For sure. These 28 alone give you a massive toolkit to work with already.
So yeah, we went from navigating faster to understanding and controlling data to organizing workflows like a pro, and finally into some serious data wizardry.
And remember, these aren't just like tiny optimizations. They can fundamentally change how you approach building an n8n, unlocking stuff you might not have thought possible before.
Absolutely. So the challenge to you is just pick one or two, try the tab trick for adding nodes, or start naming your nodes properly every time. Just try it out in your next project.
Start small, feel the difference, and then maybe layer in another trick next time. Build that muscle memory.
Exactly. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Mastering these kinds of detailed shortcuts and techniques, it obviously makes you faster, but does it also change the kind of problems you feel confident tackling? Think about it. What workflow felt maybe too complex, too messy, too difficult to manage before that you could potentially design and maintain now using some of these tricks?
That's a really good question. It definitely expands the possibilities, doesn't it?
It really does. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into n8n tricks.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Keep automating.